When DMing, sometimes you're supposed to give out some simple treasure as a reward. You know, not magical treasure, not fancy treasure of campaign importance, just some golden gems and stuff. And whilst we all went into some rare coins here and there, went into some what amount of platinum, what amount of copper, what amount of electrum do they get, and so on and so forth over the years, and we even went into some art objects. What can we do to make treasure really memorable when it's supposed to be just treasure? Well, how about we go and use a simple method to create fancy exotic treasure? Think of something that is practical or borderline practical, and then think of a sort of rich fantasy people version of it. For example, sunglasses. You can have glasses made out of two thinned out into lenses polished rubies that are literally astronomers' glasses for getting more harmless light for late hours working through them. They are essentially very expensive sunglasses that have very specific, very useful use. Then how about a pair of gloves that are made from spider silk but also dusted with diamonds from the outside, making them very soft and fluffy from the inside but almost sandpaper from the outside. How are the dusted diamonds held, you may ask? Simply by weaving. You have multiple layers of weaving, many layers of weaving from inside to make them soft for the hand, and you have thrice less layers of weaving from the outside, but still enough to hold better than steel at this point. So you have cloth-like gloves that are as resilient to damage as chainmail, maybe more, and they can even resist many a thing to be grabbed. However, they do not provide armor or protection very easily because they're so flexible. They're like a piece of thin cloth. They won't protect your arm inside from a swing of a sword, let alone from a hit of a hammer. So they're not really an armor piece, but they are quite unique, fancy work gloves that somebody had made. Then how about somebody's fancy bejeweled pipe set? It's something that you commonly see in these fantasy worlds, and yet when have you ever found something like that as treasure? Certainly it can provide more detail about the person's travels and their purchases and their hobbies and their tastes. So if you want more lore, this is one of the ways to do it. If this treasure is pillaged, say, off the back of an antagonist in a dungeon, perhaps, yet it's common treasure. So what do they have? They could have this. What about fancy clocks that have all kinds of mechanisms for keeping track of celestial bodies or something like that for research? Those can be both a fancy object to show off around the house for the rich, but also actual tool of research for those involved. Then I think this is a really good way to do it when you want players to have choices from this, and that's fancy, expensive clothing. Lots of it. Then players can sell it as treasure, but they can also pick some choice stuff out, especially if you have those pictures from the internet to just throw at them so that they can shuffle through them and browse and enjoy themselves from getting so much loot that they can actually do something custom with. So, simple enough a process. Think of everyday object, then think of a rich fantasy people version that is still practical, because usually these fantasy worlds are keeping with practicality in their treasures to some extent. Or you can go the other way, like we had on Earth with superstitions and fancies where the object is ridiculous, it's stupid, it's glorious, it's dumb. So think of something like that as well, occasionally if you want. But keep it also somewhat dignified. As in, people who ordered it up to be made thought it was dignified, at the very least. Don't make it into too much of a joke, I suppose, unless you are going for one of those Discworld-like campaigns. So, adventurer, if you thought this was useful or unique, maybe you can spare me a click. And I could see you here next or even every week, because every week I have more such things for you. I'm Em, and welcome to dMTable.